43-year-old man who had been an atheist his whole life, was in a wheelchair, dying from numerous fatal diseases. Suddenly, he got up out of the wheelchair, healed. Countless people all over the world get supernaturally healed. The Apostle Peter and John were walking to the temple, and the sick that sat there got healed. Pieces of cloth were sent out, and people got healed. So many people that Luke, who wrote the book of Acts, heard about it. People still get healed by cloth being sent out. Peter was so confident about healing that he yanked up a beggar and he got healed. Not to mention the other 70 that Jesus sent out as well as the 2 strangers who cast out demons and were not a part of Jesus' circle. These people were not regulated to biblical days. Every day there are thousands of people all over the world who seek people out and pray for their healing. This begs the question, where then are the opposing forces of darkness that can presumably block healing? Jesus healed people without any opposition from any spiritual force. In which healing did the devil pop up and argue with Jesus from a legal standpoint? Even with crowds of thousands of people, all the sick were healed. If there is a force that can block healing, then how could people touch Jesus' clothing and be healed? Was the opposition on a lunch break? We need to kill the idea that there's a spiritual force that can stop or block a healing. This idea needs to be killed, both corporately and individually. This includes the teaching that some demons are stronger than others and can therefore resist the free gift of healing from God. In fact, the proof that these ideas are false is in Jesus' own words regarding the lunatic boy that none of the disciples could see set free. He stated they could not heal because of their unbelief. Matthew 17:19 through 20. Later, the disciples came to him privately and asked, "Why couldn't we cast out the demon?" He told them, "It was because of your lack of faith. I promise you, if you have faith inside of you no bigger than the size of a small mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move away from here and go over there,' and you will see it move. There is nothing you couldn't do." The version in Mark has Jesus also stating, "This kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting." The explanation for this is very simple. Jesus was talking about their unbelief, not the demon. The subject was why they couldn't cast the demon out. Jesus said it was because of their unbelief. Then he added this kind, meaning unbelief can only go out through prayer and fasting. Another point is this: what were the disciples arguing about with the religious scholars? Mark 9:16. "What are you arguing about with the religious scholars?" he asked them. We don't read their response because that's when the boy's father jumps in. However, the Pharisees were likely telling them that they couldn't cast it out because they believed that casting out a deaf-mute spirit was one of the 4 messianic miracles that only the Messiah could perform, which was probably the reason that the disciples doubted in this case. The only case that the disciples were unable to heal. The Pharisees were shouting, "Only the Messiah can cast out the deaf-mute spirit, and you guys ain't the Messiah." That, along with the boy foaming at the mouth, is what likely caused the unbelief within the disciples. This leads me to my point that the devil or demons cannot resist, nor do they have the power to steal, kill, and destroy those who are filled with the Holy Spirit. They are not the thief that Jesus speaks about in John 10:10. We are going to discuss that. But first, if the devil or demons have the power to block a healing, how did I get healed? I was that 43-year-old man who was an atheist, dying with Lou Gehrig's disease, who prayed over himself and was healed. If the devil or demons have the power to block healing, then I would have been fish bait. There I was, with no knowledge of the Bible or of scriptures, and presumably possessed with demons myself. Yet I was healed. The reason is simple. I had not been taught that I had to fight the devil or fight to keep my healing. If you believe that something can prevent you from receiving a free gift from God, then it can. If you believe a lie, then it is the reality for you. If you believe that there can be an outside resistance, then there is. Let us now look at John 10:10 to see who the thief really is. First of all, do not automatically replace the devil for the thief, because Jesus is not referencing the devil at all in this verse. He thoroughly explains who the thief is, starting in John 10:1. Jesus said to the Pharisees, "Listen to this eternal truth. The person who sneaks over the wall to enter into the sheep pen, rather than coming through the gate, reveals himself as a thief coming to steal. But the true shepherd walks right up to the gate, and because the gatekeeper knows who he is, he opens up the gate to let him in. And the sheep recognize the voice of the true shepherd, for he calls his own by name and leads them out. For they belong to him. And when he has brought out all his sheep, he walks ahead of them, and they will follow him, for they are familiar with his voice. But they will run away from strangers and never follow them, because they know it's the voice of a stranger." Jesus told the Pharisees this parable even though they didn't understand a word of what he meant. The thief is the one that climbs over the wall to enter the sheep pen. He is revealed as a thief because he doesn't enter by the gate, because the one watching the gate knows the shepherd. John the Baptist was the gatekeeper in the first parable, who announced Jesus as the Messiah, whom Herod the king had killed. Jesus was directing this parable to the Pharisees, but they didn't understand a word of it. John 10:7-10. So Jesus went over it again. I speak to you in eternal truth. I am the gate for the flock. All those who broke in before me are thieves who came to steal, but the sheep never listened to them. I am the gateway. To enter through me is to experience life, freedom, and satisfaction. A thief has only one thing in mind. He wants to steal, slaughter, and destroy. But I have come to give you everything in abundance, more than you expect, life in its fullness until you overflow. The kings and the prophets in the Old Covenant were known as shepherds. All those who broke in before me are thieves who came to steal. Jesus here is referencing the false prophets and kings who didn't serve God but served themselves. The Pharisees put themselves into the position of being thieves by not acknowledging who Jesus was. Instead, they accused him of being demonized and healing through the prince of demons, after he had just healed the man born blind, a miracle they believed to be one of the messianic miracles, in which they called Jesus a sinner and threw the man who was healed out of the synagogue. Jesus, therefore, is referencing human beings who call themselves leaders, but are really stealing, killing, and destroying by misrepresenting him. The thieves are human beings who are deceived and deceiving. Just as the blind man who Jesus healed was brought into the synagogue, questioned, and then kicked out. That still happens today. After my healing, the leadership of the church that we'd been attending made both my wife and myself feel so unwelcome that we ended up leaving that church. We tried a variety of different churches, 35 in total. They were welcoming until they heard my testimony. Then they became very abrasive towards us. It wasn't until 2017 that we found a church that was accepting of us and my testimony. That is just one of the many examples of how the thief, meaning unbelieving human beings, come to steal, kill, and destroy. We aren't fighting a spiritual being. We're fighting unbelief that the world in general tries to put into those who believe, and especially those who believe in healing. God does not make promises he can't keep. If we have to fight a spiritual being for healing, and the outcome depends upon us, then he isn't our healer. We are. Jesus stating that believing that you have received, you shall have it. Is Jesus promising something he can't deliver? It is other human beings, especially those in leadership, that sow the seeds of unbelief. And we are the ones that allow the seeds to take root. Preachers that say things like, well, we'll all be healed when we get to heaven. But it isn't guaranteed on earth. They are sowing seeds of doubt, just as the Pharisees did with Jesus. The solution is simple. Settle this question for yourself permanently. The question being whether there's anything that can block what has been given freely to us other than unbelief. When you answer that question for yourself, then no one will be able to steal it away. Proverbs 4:23 says it well. So above all, guard the affections of your heart, for they will affect all that you are. Pay attention to the welfare of your innermost being, for from there flows the wellspring of life. Or, as the King James Version puts it, guard your heart with due diligence, for out of it are all the issues of life. It isn't anything external that can steal any blessing of the Lord away from us. It's the seed of unbelief that we allow to be sown into our hearts, and then we let it grow. The key then is to be fully convinced that no one or nothing can steal away what has been given to us. We can give it away by letting doubt in, but no one can steal it. This week, make the choice to settle this within yourself. Is there anything more powerful than the Holy Spirit inside of you? Isaiah 26:3. Perfect, absolute peace surrounds those whose imaginations are consumed with you. They confidently trust in you. If we're in perfect peace, then we aren't fighting, because Christ in us has the victory every time. Be blessed, be healed, and be a blessing. Thank you for watching my videos, for coming to my channel. I truly appreciate it. And now, if my teachings or if my books or anything that I do bless you, then I do want to give everyone an opportunity to sow into this ministry prayerfully at the leading of the Holy Spirit. We're in the process of raising funds for the movie, and we've got a ton of things going on. So, if you feel led to give, simply go to my website. There's a donation button there. But there's other ways to give as well, such as word of mouth, just telling people about my channel, just telling people about my books, even telling them my testimony. That is very helpful. Buying my books, sharing my books, buying my merchandise, all helpful things, all sowing into my ministry. Thank you very much. There are many ways that you can do it. You're not limited. So I just want to say I appreciate in advance any way that you spread the message of the kingdom. God bless you.